Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Now What podcast. My name is Glenn Sharp. This is episode 2. I am the CEO of Sharp Leadership Development. I do leadership development and coaching all over the country. So if you recall from the first episode, Johnny is a brand new manager. He used to be an incredible mechanic in the airline industry, and now he finds himself as the manager of mechanics for the airline industry. In the first episode, we talked about Johnny changing the way he thinks. He's got to get out of the mindset that he's still an individual contributor. He's a manager. He needs to start acting like a manager. And we mentioned the concept of the results cone. Your thinking drives your behavior drives your results. And what I do in coaching is I attack the way you think, all right? Because if you think a certain way and you behave a certain way, results will follow. Results are a lagging indicator. For this episode, we are going to start to talk about the more tactical portion of Johnny's job. And you will notice on the screen above my shoulder, the famous graph appears. This is the proactive versus reactive graph. This comes from my graduate level class at the University of Cincinnati called Change Management. And it's the star of the class. There's no doubt about it. People love to steal this concept because it applies to so many things in our lives. But the way it works is you'll notice there's a green line and a red line. And you'll notice the words effort versus implementation. So let's take an example for Johnny. Let's say Johnny has a brand new hire, right? And on day one, Johnny doesn't have to go over expectations with this new hire. He can just leave him to his own devices and tell him to figure it out. If you notice the red line, he puts very little effort into the new hire. But you'll notice as you follow the red line all the way up, look at the amount of effort Johnny now has to put in to get to the same level of implementation. Think about how many mistakes new hires make, how many issues and lack of clarity there is with new hires. Imagine new hire gets frustrated because he doesn't get the level of attention he needs and Johnny doesn't go over expectations and give him some care. Imagine now Johnny has to fire him or the person quits and now he has to interview somebody else. He has to go over the same process again. And you'll notice that red line, look at all that effort. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that managers make. They think if I just kind of take a reactive stance to things, it saves myself some time, but it doesn't, right? And Johnny learns that in our coaching, that you've got to be more reactive. Hence the green line. Imagine in our example, if Johnny has a new hire and instead of leaving him to his own devices, he puts some time and effort into his new hire up front. Imagine if he goes over for an hour. He goes over expectations. What does a clean work area look like? What does quality work look like? What does it mean to be put on the schedule? What does it mean if you call off? And what are some of the consequences for calling off 5 minutes before your shift? Or if you have to have an emergency, make sure you get somebody to cover you. And everything in between. Again, I know it's an hour that Johnny doesn't have. I mean, you might not have. But now follow the green line. Now look at the amount of time and effort it takes to get to the same level of implementation. Yeah, you spend some more time in the beginning, but now look at the amount of time and effort as you follow that green line. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And that's what I want you guys to think about. Think about the concept of those who follow the green line don't experience half the things that those who follow the red line experience. And that's the key. That's the key to management. That's the reason why certain managers not only get all their stuff done, but have time to spare to do special projects, and they go home at 5 o'clock. It's they put their time and effort in a different place. They put it up front. The unfortunate reality, though, is so many people see, if you follow the green line, when they're on maintenance mode, they see a well-run department. They see a manager who's got it all together, and they think it looks easy. But they didn't realize just how much time and effort it took to get there, to get to that level of implementation. It's the same thing if you go to a ball game or if you go to a concert, any sporting event at all. You see these professional athletes or professional musicians or professional actors and actresses, and they look amazing. What you didn't see is all the time and effort it took, all the practice, all the hours of blood, sweat, and tears it took to get that good at something. Right? And that's what I want you guys to think about. Where do you spend your time? So an even more practical example of this especially in manufacturing, would be the pre-shift meeting. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. I find it troubling how inappropriate and even just unproductive some of these pre-shift meetings are. In my opinion, pre-shift meetings should always have situational training in every single meeting. And what do I mean by situational training? Well, imagine every single pre-shift meeting you go over a scenario. Right? You go over something that you know will happen but hasn't happened in a while, or it just hasn't happened yet. So for example, imagine going over to your folks, what do you do if somebody gets hurt on the job and I'm not here and you can't get in touch with me? What do you do if that machine goes down? All right. What do you do if a client comes to you and asks you, hey, I would like to add some work to the contract? Do you know how to handle those situations? Obviously, you have back and forth dialogue. You do not leave until they are 100% in the know. But imagine you did that every day for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops, you go over a scenario with your folks in every pre-shift meeting. Imagine 20 working days in a month, 60 working days in a quarter. In 3 months' time, you go over 60 scenarios with your folks. What's the likelihood that they don't know how to do things when you're not around? And that's the key right there. That's the key. And that's the question I have for people in the coaching room, especially Johnny, is it worth it? Is it worth 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops, but 5 minutes every single meeting in order to get ahead of your problems versus the red line activity where you wait and hope and you wait for things to happen and then react to it. Right? So that's what I want you to honestly think to yourselves. And I ask classes all the time, if you were honest with me and nobody knew the answer, just you and I, are you more red line or are you more green line? Most people tell me in an honest moment, they're more red line. And I want you to really focus on green line activities. It's incredible how much time and effort you will save. Right? Here's another example. Imagine you're going to go to a meeting and you know this topic is going to incite some emotional reaction in your team. Why would you ever wait and hope that it goes well? Why wouldn't you, because that would be red line activity, right? Why wouldn't you take more of a green line approach and the day before the meeting or a couple of days before the meeting, you talk to the two people or the one person who you know is going to be the leader, who you know is going to be the one that has the biggest issue with it, the one that's going to be negative. And you sit down with them and you let them know, listen, not only do I want you to embrace this, but I want you to take a part of this. I want you to actually lead part of this initiative. And if they say no, because most of the time they say yes. Most of the time the ego is like, oh my goodness, you want me to actually take a part of it, right? And that's one of the reasons why they're often negative, is because they're a little disappointed in where they're at in their career or something along those lines. But if you feed that ego and you make them a part of it, it's incredible the reaction of the rest of the team when the person who's normally negative now actually is your advocate. And that would be leadership. That would be green line activity. That would be not waiting and hoping, but making things happen. So that's the first aspect of this particular graph. The second aspect that I taught Johnny is the green line and the red line also have a connotation of the following. The green line is investing your time. The red line is spending your time. So for example, I have a story in my book in regards to a coaching session that I had with an individual in Miami. And this individual said to me, Glenn, I'm up to my eyebrows in stuff. I am burnt out. I don't know what to do. I'm working like 90 hours a week. Please help me. And I said to him, listen, I can help you, but you have to listen to what I say. If you give me 30 days, if I can't help you in 30 days, then find another coach, or you have every right to complain. So he said, okay, great. So I said, do you have anyone on your team that is really good at what they do and they want to get promoted? And he goes, yeah, I have 2 people. I go, good, select one. And he goes, okay, I got it. I go, now, do you have a task? Think of a task that takes a lot of time and effort, but it's not that hard. And he picked the schedule. If you think about the schedule, it's not that hard. It's just a pain, right? It's all the different moving parts between doing the schedule and schedule changes, call off, requests for vacation and requests to move shifts and everything else that goes with it. There's a lot of moving parts to it, right? So he picked the schedule. So I said, what I want you to do is I want you to have that person come in at 7:30 every morning. This person that he selected, his name was Jack. This person usually comes in around 8 o'clock every morning. So I said, have the person come in at 7:30 every morning. Right? And they get to leave at 4:30 every afternoon because I don't want to incur overtime, neither do you. So you come in a half hour early with him, and every single morning I want you to teach Jack the schedule. So the first time he taught him, he screwed it up. The second time he screwed it up. The third time he screwed up. However, after about 2.5 weeks, Jack became better at doing the schedule than his manager. So I go down to Miami and I go visit my client, and he's smiling like the cat that just ate the canary. And I go, what are you smiling at? And he goes, what am I smiling at? I don't have to do the schedule anymore. I go, how many hours a week do you think you save? Not having to touch the schedule at all. And he's got a staff of 30. Keep that in mind. And he goes, I don't know, like 5 to 6 hours a week. I go, 5 to 6 hours a week. I go, that's something to smile about. There's no doubt about it. But that's not the key to this whole thing. Right? I asked him, I go, okay, that's the benefit to you. What's the benefit to Jack? And after we kind of went a little back and forth, we talked about now Jack has a transferable skill that he can put on his resume. Stay or leave their organization, that's something that he can hold on to, and he can, with broad shoulders and confidence, say to the new employer, I know how to do the schedule. Right? So that's the win-win, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. Right? The number one reason why people leave their jobs always has been relationship with the manager. But the new number two that I see in my classes and all the thousands of people that I teach, especially with Gen Zs, is career path. Right? And they're not talking about succession planning, by the way. Please, let's make that distinction. Right? They think of succession planning as there's a lot of luck, there's a lot of favoritism, timing, all that stuff involved in succession planning. No, they're talking about development. They're talking about develop me, right? Give me skills and abilities that I can use, and I will stay. Right? Well, the likelihood that they stay is a lot higher. So I want you to really think about that, because it's incredible to me how so many people don't realize that about employees. So that's all great. And as I was talking to my client, I mentioned to him, that's not the point of this, though. The point of all this is you invested your time versus spending your time. You invested your time in training someone. Now that's the gift that keeps on giving. But the term opportunity cost is what I went over with him. And that is the key to the second portion of this graph, the second lesson behind this graph. Opportunity cost. Now that's typically a financial term. If you're in finance, you understand that if you invest your money over here and it tanks, you could have invested it over here and it made money. That's opportunity cost. But it's the same thing in management. What could he be doing with those 5 to 6 hours rather than doing the schedule? Now he could be training somebody else. Now he could actually be planning ahead and getting ahead of his problems. Right? And that's one of the keys to management. One of the absolute keys to getting ahead is opportunity cost. If everybody does a little, life is good. If one or two people do everything on your team, life tends to stink. Right? So it's the same for your personal life as it is for your professional life. And that's what I want you to consider. That's the reason why certain managers have so much time on their hands. That's the reason why they get so much stuff done. It's because they delegate certain tasks to individuals, but they invest their time. They think to themselves, am I spending my time wisely? Is this the best use of my time? Right? I asked the class one time, how long you've been in the industry? How long have you been working? And it was a pretty large class. I had people go, worked 7 years. Somebody said 15 years. Another person said 35. Somebody said 25. Finally, one person said 41 years they've been in the industry. And I said to them, what are you doing tasks for that 10 other people could do? Does that make any sense at all? And I asked them, if you were the president of the company and you found out that somebody with 41 years experience, 25 years experience, 15 years experience was still doing the schedule, would you be angry? And the answer is yes, of course you would be angry, right? Because that's not a task that you should be doing. And I hope you remember the following statement, because a lot of people have screwed this statement up, and I want to make sure that we are on the same page here and exactly clear with what I'm saying. As a manager of people, your time is more valuable than the people that work for you. Now, I did not say you are more valuable. That's ridiculous, right? That's ignorant and arrogant. That is not true. But your time is more valuable, especially if you have 25 years experience. That information that you have in your head, the education, all that experience that you have is so valuable. You should not be spending time on things that 10 other people could do. And that's what I really want you to think about, especially as it relates to delegation. So that's the graph, that's the proactive versus reactive, but you can imagine how many different things this applies to, either personal life or professional life or whatever. So I want you to think about this because it's so key, and do some soul searching and really think about what more you can do, and are you really spending the amount of time you should on activities that bear fruit, that really have a return on your investment. So thank you guys, appreciate it. In the next episode, we're going to be really diving into more tactical things. We're going to start hitting emotional intelligence. It's a class that is incredibly important, and of the 26 classes that I teach, probably the number one class that's requested, and obviously I will let you know why in episode 3. Check out my book, Now What. It's full of lots of tips and tricks and things that I have learned over my 23-year career, and all the things that I coach people on. And I think you guys will obviously enjoy it. So thank you guys for your attention. I appreciate it very much. Good luck with your management and leadership journey, and I'll see you in episode 3.